Hey everyone, welcome back. Hope you guys had a great weekend. It's Monday now, and we're going to talk about just a couple of things. See what happened with Bitcoin today. It was down quite a bit. It was down 3%. Miners were down about the same, somewhere a little bit more than that, somewhere a little bit less than that, somewhere actually up today. So we'll cover all that, what's happening with Bitcoin and Ethereum, the markets, and then we also have to talk about Cleanspark. Cleanspark is now more than halfway there to getting to the 16 exahash by the end of the year. They provided a tweet today, so we'll take a look at what that actually means for them going forward and where they kind of might be as far as revenue this for this month. Okay, so but as always, you guys know the drill here. This is not financial advice for entertainment only. Please do your own research. And I'm investing in the following coins and companies for full disclosure. And if you enjoy this type of content, hit the like button, subscribe, helps me out tremendously. So let's get into what's going on with the markets here. The markets were actually up today. So the S&P was up 0.4%, Dow Jones was up 0.52%, and the NASDAQ was up 0.19%. So it's kind of like the markets are kind of already weighed in the FOMC meeting happening this tomorrow and Wednesday. Wednesdays, I believe, when we get the actual result of how many basis points are going to be raising the interest rates. I believe it's going to be 25 basis points. We'll see if that happens. If they don't raise anything, well, that's going to be even better. But it looks like the consensus is they're going to raise about 25 basis points. Okay. Bitcoin, on the other hand, is like it has in the past. So if we look at it in the past, every time we had an interest rate hike, Bitcoin has fallen from that peak. So we kind of reached each peak, or well, we were down a little bit here, but nonetheless, we still went down in price over the next 2 weeks or so. 2 to 3 weeks, we had, I think, like 2 weeks here, about a week here, about 2 or 3 weeks here. So we've came down in price and value of Bitcoin every time we had an interest rate hike. Okay, it looks like we're looking to do the same thing right now with Bitcoin being at, well, it was down today 3%, 3.01%. It closed at 29,176. And I've been saying that, as we get closer to the FOMC meeting and the interest rate hikes, that more than likely we are going to possibly fall down. Well, it happened actually today. So it happened a little bit faster than I was anticipating it. I wasn't anticipating it until maybe tomorrow or in Wednesday sometime. But nonetheless, we can see that it did fall, and it was kind of trading around the 20-day moving average. It obviously broke through that, broke through the 50-day moving average. And right now we are down again in the new day. We're down 0.41% on Bitcoin as it is right now. Our next support line is going to be the 28,600 mark. Now, depending on what we get as far as interest rate hikes on Wednesday, whether it's 25 basis points or 50 basis points, consensus is 25 basis points, but we'll see. If that doesn't hold the 28,600 support line, then we are probably going to be heading down lower to the 200 weekly moving average, which is our red line right here, which is right now at approximately 27,160. So I'm guessing it's going to probably go up a little bit here to maybe like 27,250, something like that by the time we get to Wednesday. Okay. The next line after that would be the 200 daily moving average line, which is the blue line right here. And if that doesn't hold, well, then we might be coming back all the way down to the 23,800 mark, which was our previous support. But seeing that each time that we actually went down, we went back up. We obviously came back down a little bit here, but each time we kind of went down, but we reached a new, kind of like a high in Bitcoin for this year. So I'm expecting the same thing to happen here. I'm guessing that we possibly will maybe drop down to the 200 weekly moving average before it's all said and done, and then possibly bounce off of that going forward. But it's going to be at least possibly 1 to 3 weeks before that's said and done. Okay. Now, Ethereum was down also today. It was down not as much as Bitcoin was. It was down only 2.06%. It closed at 1,849. And you can see that it was also kind of bouncing between the 20-day moving average and the 50-day moving average here for a couple of days here, and it obviously fell today as it has Bitcoin. Okay, so we'll keep an eye on that one, see what happens there. Also, the miners have been kind of bouncing off of the 20-day moving average and the 50-day moving average, and we'll get into each one of these here today as well, see how they reacted to it. Let me see if I got this set up right. Yep, okay. So we can see that on ANY was down 6.67% today. And you can see that it's kind of bouncing right off of that 50-day and 20-day moving average down here. Argo was down 8.28%. It actually fell below the 50-day moving average. So we'll have to see where that one possibly might end up at going forward. Bit Digital was down 4.04%. You can see here it was trading on the 20-day moving average for basically almost a week here, it looks like. And it finally fell below it. And now it might be bouncing off of the 50-day moving average here. On that one, BitDeer was down 9.13%. Same thing. It bounced off of the 20-day moving average and then fell on Friday, and then obviously fell today again, but it's kind of bouncing off of the 50-day moving average as well. Bitfarms was down 2.3% today. It's now battling with the 20-day moving average as well. It obviously peaked up here to its, looks like 50, oh no, that would be the 200 weekly moving average, it looks like on it. So that's kind of where it bounced, or kind of topped right now. And then it came back down here. Cypher was down 7.6% today. It's also bouncing off of the 20-day moving average right now. We'll see if it can sustain it. I'm guessing Bitcoin falls down. That's probably going to be testing the 50-day moving average. If that doesn't hold, well, then we're going down to the 200 daily moving average possibly as a spot where it might be bouncing off of it. So more or less like $2.45 for that one. Cleanspark was down 4.83%. It bounced off of the 20-day moving average. Like I said, if it doesn't hold, Bitcoin goes down further. We possibly might be coming back down to the $5.09, somewhere around there. If that doesn't hold the 50-day moving average, we're going down to $4.35. Those would be great points to dollar cost averaging. If you do that sort of thing, I do that. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. If we get down to about $5.09, $5.10, somewhere around there, I probably will dollar cost averaging a little bit more on that one. Of course, Scientific was down 9.52%. It was also bouncing off of the 20-day moving average. It's fallen down below it now. Next support line was going to be the 50-day moving average here. DigiHost was up actually today, 0.52%. It actually bounced off of the 50-day moving averages, you can see here, from Friday. And it's right between the 20-day and the 50-day right now. We'll see how that one goes. DMG was down quite a bit today. It was down 15.39%. It peaked also at the 200 weekly moving average, and it's fallen down ever since then, kind of bouncing up and down. But it is getting close to the 20-day moving average. That's kind of where I'm expecting that to possibly act as support. If that doesn't hold, then we're going down to the 50-day moving average. Greenedge was down 6.56% today. Kind of hard to see on that one, but it is bouncing off between the 20 and the 50-day moving average on that one. Hive was down 3.56% today. It also bounced off of the 20-day moving average, fell below it, but it rebounded a little bit here to right at that line. Next support is going to be at the 50-day moving average, so $4.37. Possibly go to entry point, and if that doesn't hold, then we might be going to the 200 daily moving line, which is the blue line here, at $3.98. Hut 8 was down 4.14%. It actually fell below the 20-day moving average, and it has bounced off of the 200 weekly moving average. So that's support now. If that doesn't hold, we're going down to the 50-day moving average, which is at $2.94. Iris Energy was down 1.04%. It bounced off of the 20-day moving average today. Like I said, if that doesn't hold, next support is going to be at $5.16 for that one, somewhere around there. Marathon was down 2.73% today. It also bounced off of the 20-day moving average. Next support is going to be the 200 weekly moving average at $15.22. That doesn't hold, then we're going to the 50-day moving averages, which is going to be around $13 to $14, depending on where it falls and how fast it falls down to it. Mawson was down 6.13%. It is below the 20 and the 50-day moving averages right now. There is really no support underneath that, so we'll have to see where that one goes going forward. Riot was down 5.17% today. It is nowhere near the 20-day moving average right now. It's getting close to it, but it's kind of bounced off of it beforehand. So we'll see. Obviously, the 50-day and the 200 weekly moving average are getting ready to cross, it looks like. That would be our next support, probably at $13, almost $14, I guess you could say. Soluna is up today, 2.07%. It is kind of bouncing on the 50 and the 20-day moving averages right now. So we'll see how that one performs. Stronghold was up 6.25% today, and it has been bouncing off of the 20-day moving average here. Our next support would be the 50, which isn't too far away, and possibly going down back to the low of around $3.50, or the low is, yeah, I mean right there, $3.58. That could be our next support. And Wolf was down 6.58% today. It's nowhere near the 20-day moving average, so we'll see if that acts as support. If that doesn't hold, then we're looking at the 50-day moving average at $2.28, roughly somewhere around there. That's where I would think it would be a good buying opportunity for any of these, like 50-day supports. We might get a bounce right around there. Okay, let me know if you guys agree or disagree with that. And that's it for the miners. So overall, a pretty bad day for the miners, but it wasn't as bad as we had last week on some days. Bitcoin was being down 3%. Some of these guys were pretty close to that, even less than that. Some were actually up double of what Bitcoin was, some were even more than that. So it wasn't too bad, but it's kind of expected, right? We can't keep going up with Bitcoin all the time. We need a little bit of a, basically like a little break. As we see on Bitcoin, we have, you can see here on the RSI. RSI was way up here and over the overbought territory. And then each time we get there, we need to come down a little bit here, get a little bit of a refresher. Then we go back up, we get a little bit of a refresher, and we come back down and we do this, repeat this kind of process again. So this is kind of welcome. Hopefully we don't go too far below like the 23,000 mark. I'm hoping that we bounce somewhere around maybe the 200 weekly moving average or the 200 daily moving average once it does bounce, if it doesn't hold at 28,600. Okay, but nonetheless, this is all part of the game. We know this is going to happen. We're going to go up and we're going to come down, and we're going to get better buying opportunities. If you haven't bought in yet, those are the ones that we want to look for. Okay. Okay, so that's it for those. Let's take a look at the network hash rate, see what's going on there really quick as well. And I think this is refreshed. So the 7-day average now is at approximately 370 million terahashes. And if we look at the 1-day average, we definitely spiked back up here. So we're back up to 401 million terahashes right now. So a lot of miners are curtailing. They're turning things back on at night when it's cooler, especially in Texas, as we've had a heat wave over there. So that's what the cause for this is, the big drop that we've had here. And the network hash rate going down all the way to 300 million terahashes on the daily. Okay, so that's it for those. Network hash rate. Let's take a look at the first story that we have. Well, the really only story that we have here is Cleanspark provided on their Twitter account that another chapter in the Bitcoin books. See, Cleanspark has a new total hash rate of 8.5 exahash. Thank you to our amazing team for making this month a page turner. And it has been a really good month for them. They've installed a lot of machines here this month. And they're basically more than halfway there to get to the 16 exahash at the end of the year. Now, they do have only 5 months left, basically. I mean, you still have a little bit in July, so you got to maybe we're right now only maybe 5 days away, 7 days away, whatever we are from the end of the month. So not a lot of time there. But if we just look at the 5 months that we do have, which is going to be August, September, October, November, December, they basically have to install another 7.5 exahash of hash rate in those 5 months. So take the 7.5 divided by 5 months, you end up with, they're going to need about 1.5 exahash per month energized, installed, energized, and everything else to get to the 16 exahash by the end of the year that they want to get to. Is it possible? Yes. Is it going to be difficult? Yes. I wouldn't be surprised if they possibly miss it by about a month or two, potentially. They have to have a lot of things go right for them. If they do get to obviously the 16 exahash by the end of the year, it's going to be fantastic. They have beaten their estimates before last year, the year prior. So I wouldn't be surprised if they do pull it off. But that's definitely a lot of exahash that they have to get installed, a lot of machines. Okay, so let's take a look at the spreadsheet that I do have for them, and we'll call it a day. So Cleanspark, the numbers aren't correct. I haven't updated the stock price yet on these guys here, so don't look at that. But they are currently at 8.5 exahash. Future hash rate for all the miners that they have purchased is about 17.5 exahash. But they did say that they're going to be probably retiring some of the older miners that are less efficient. And that's why they're saying 16 exahash. But I wouldn't be surprised if they actually beat that a little bit, but we'll see. Okay, so I put in the numbers here for July for them. And this is like the second or third announcement that they had in this month alone, as far as increasing their hash rate. So they were at 6.7 exahash at the beginning of the month. About 9 days into this month, they installed, here it looks like they installed at that time approximately 647 exahash. Right, then they installed another 500 exahash at right around halfway through the month at 18 days, and then another 500 just now recently, so that they're only 6 days away left from this month for mining on those machines. Based on that information, we're looking at approximately 17.2 million, depending where Bitcoin goes. Bitcoin comes down a little bit, we're probably going to be looking at a little bit less on the revenue for this month, but it's still going to be better than it was in June. June was only 13.6 million. We're going to get a couple million increase here in the month of July alone, which is going to be great to see. So based on this number and the previous 3 quarters and the current quarter that we're in, right, this current quarter, if Bitcoin just stays where it's at right now, we're looking at possibly 53 million. And that's with them being at 8.5 exahash for the rest of this quarter that we're in. We're in Q3 basically right now. That's kind of where I'm looking at. Based on all those, we obviously are still waiting on Q2 results. Those will be coming out probably next month sometime. We'll cover that when that happens. But here's what we have right now. So I'm using the latest, last quarter, which is Q2, Q1, and then Q4 from last year for the last 3 quarters. I'm using the current quarter that we're in, potentially. Obviously, we don't know where Bitcoin's going to go, but that's just kind of an estimate. Based on all that, PE of 20, I'm looking at the stock price should be at $15.03 to $22.55, depending on the 50% or 75% net income. Okay, that's, to me, is way undervalued from where they should be, especially with them being at 8.5 exahash. They're getting pretty close to what Riot is right now. Riot obviously has a much better market value or market value than they do based on the exahash. Riot does also have a better HODL position, But based on just exahash itself, they're definitely way undervalued here. And then if we take the current month that we're in, possibly them generating about 17 point some million in revenue, multiplying them times 12, they should be at about, future earnings wise, about $18.34 to $27.51, depending on where Bitcoin goes. Okay. Now, we obviously have the halving event coming up here in about 9 months. If they get to 16 exahash, they're definitely going to be double where they are right now. So they're going to be possibly having the same kind of revenue as they have had in the past year, depending where Bitcoin goes, if that makes sense for you guys. Right, they're at 8.5, double that. You can double pretty much the income that they're going to have, depending where Bitcoin is at. If Bitcoin is at least at the same price where we're at right now, or higher, it's going to be even better for them. But once we have the halving event, it'll knock them down, obviously, but they still should be trading right around there somewhere based on those numbers. And we're going to do some more fundamentals on them and data as far as potentially, I'll do something coming up in the week, maybe this week or next week, where we're going to look to see where the miners could be after the halving event based on current data that we do have on them. Okay, so that is it. As always, the spreadsheet is going to be, as always, the spreadsheet is going to be available to my Patreon members. So that'll be coming up tonight. I'll get that uploaded for them. And then we'll see what happens otherwise this week. Like I said, the FOMC meeting is tomorrow. We'll have the results of that on Wednesday. There's going to be a press conference for that. Usually Fed Powell will do a whole thing with the press where he takes questions and things like that. So we'll see what he has to say, whether he's looking to see possibly raising another 25 basis points or what are they going to do after that. And we'll see how Bitcoin reacts to all this. Obviously, Bitcoin comes down, miners are going to come down as well. The miners have been really good this first half of the year. As far as huge gains, a lot of them are over 200%, some are over 300%, some are even up 500, 600%, 1,000% for core. So they have done really well compared to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is only up about 80-some%, close to 90. So we do need a little bit of a pullback, a little bit of a healthy retreat to get the RSIs down. And then I think we can start back up here, possibly towards the later part of the year as we get closer to the halving event. Okay, that's just my thoughts on it. Let me know if you guys agree or disagree. And that's it. Thank you so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed it, hit the like button, subscribe. Helps me out tremendously. And I'll see you guys in the next one.